Welcome back to the Chiro Money Show, where we're helping chiropractors make better financial decisions so they can build stability in their finances and a lifestyle that they love. We're your hosts, Chris Shield and Scott Campbell, financial planners with Align Wealth.
Excited to be here today, Chris.
So excited, Scott.
You know, we're men of the people, right? We're here for the people, Chris. We need to be here on a weekly basis in your earbuds, on your drive to the practice or wherever you listen to us. I'd love to actually run a poll of where people listen to the Chiro Money Show. Curious.
Be a short poll.
It'd be a short poll. No, I'm sure there's some good ones.
Yeah.
We're heading out. We're going out of town here in a few days and we're gone for the week. So we can't record next week. So we're recording this at the very end of our Friday. We're trying to close loose ends here before we're off and away for a week. So we're committed.
We're going to do it and bring the energy
to the show.
Just like you bring the energy to your daughter's soccer team as their coach and leader, we will bring the energy to the show.
That's right. I was telling Chris, just coaching my U9, my daughter's soccer team, and I don't know a whole lot about soccer. I don't know the strategy or tactics. I know the forwards need to get the ball down the field to score and the defense needs to stop it, but I don't know how to explain that to U9 girls very well. But we do have an assistant coach that is very tactical, but very soft-spoken. So I've just said, you're just going to do the tactics with the girls on the sidelines. I'm just going to run up and down, and I'm just going to bring the enthusiasm and the energy that this team needs. And that's all you get from me.
You're basically the cheerleader.
I'm a good cheerleader.
You're a very good cheerleader, Scott.
Yeah. I was even hyping up the parents last night.
Wow.
How are we doing over your parents? How are we doing? Feeling good?
Wow.
Bring the energy level up.
I do not bring that enthusiasm to my U9 soccer team that I coach.
All right. Sounds like I need to do some coaching for you.
Yeah, maybe on the enthusiasm side. I can bring the skill and the soccer mind, but not the enthusiasm. Yeah. I do. I want to go back to that poll though, Scott. I bet you there's a lot of people that are listening to us when they're doing Zone 2 work.
Zone 2 work. Okay. You'll first have to explain what Zone 2 work is for those that don't understand what that means.
For our non-endurance athletes in the room or athletes that track heart rate system, Zone 2 heart rate is basically a conversational pace. So if you're running and you can keep chatting, you're in Zone 2. If you can't talk, you're going too hard, you got to scale back. And conventional training wisdom says that Zone 2 should make up about 80% or so. Some of our listeners are probably gonna push back on that number, but that's what I was told. About 80% of your training volume should be in Zone 2.
I don't think you follow that rule, Chris. When I see your Strava, you look like you're going too fast for Zone 2, but maybe you're just that fast.
Check the heart rate zone, man.
All right, Chris, what are we talking about today?
Okay, we're talking about financial plans.
Yeah, when you put it that way, try and make it more exciting than just financial plans.
Kind of boring. Okay. Here's the hook, Scott. What if we burned the 60-page financial plan that your parents' advisor used to do? What would you keep? Is there anything you'd pull out of that 60-page binder and keep?
Yeah, we want to talk about how we could condense a financial plan down to one page. And if we were to have a financial plan on one page, what needs to be on that page?
Yeah.
First of all, I have to say, when I first got in the industry, the idea of a 40, 50, 60-page document, I just think of it being in like a leather-bound book, that you'd put up on the bookshelf and you just glance at it and be like, I got a plan. I'm never going to look at it, but at some point, someone gave me this very important document and it's leather-bound. So I'm going to keep that there. It's probably better off as a doorstop, but no one's ever going to look at it. No one's ever going to look at it.
Yeah.
But there is something important there that can be condensed down into one page, I think.
Mm-hmm.
To make it
you bring up a good point there, Scott. I think the 60-pager leather bound, I think pretty much the only value out of that is probably whether you call it a false sense or a real sense of security or confidence is probably the only thing that a client got out of that 60-page document, hey?
I think it's two things. It's the confidence that the work has been done, the analysis has been done, the projections are in there. There's all the charts and the graphs and the pie charts and all the things that we see in a 60-page document. I also sometimes think it's a way for an advisor to show their capabilities by producing something of that magnitude where it's like, whoa, look at all the work that we've done here. I have this huge document. It must be very important. There's a lot of important information. But the one thing we can say about any financial plan, even one-page financial plans, is that, sometimes the moment they're printed, like, it could be outdated, right?
Yeah.
And I say that lightheartedly, of course, right? But our life changes so fast these days. Goals change, objectives change, all the things that tie into our life with money, those all change so fast. Why put it into a 60-page document when that's going to be stale dated in maybe 6 months from now?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a joke in the planning community that like, as soon as you complete a plan, it's out, it's wrong, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I struggle with this, to be honest. Like, there are still parts of me that I'm like, yeah, should we be delivering an actual document as, part of a financial planning process? You and I, Scott, are in agreement now that like financial planning is not the document you receive. It is the process of ongoing communication, conversations, diving into different segments of your financial life and going deep on those, and then zooming back, looking at the whole big picture again, continuously reevaluating and improving over time as life changes and unfolds. That's real financial planning, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And we'll get into that, I think, here later in the conversation of like how we view it.
Yeah.
And like what our process looks like and why that differs.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit different from some of the
Right.
industry where it's like the outcome is to have maybe a series of meetings, but the outcome is going to be, here's the document, here's all the things that, we've analyzed, and here's our recommendations. And then it's like, here you go implement it. Right. Where we're going to kind of get into kind of how we view that differently. And obviously not to say one's bad or good, but we just view planning from a different lens.
For sure. But even with all that, I still like, to go back to the first comment about the 60-page plan, there's still some good that probably came out of that, even if it was just that false sense of security. So I do often question our own processes and say, like, should we be delivering something tangible that people can feel? Like, yeah, it's a question. We'll probably
For
keep
sure.
coming back to it. Hey?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the topic for the conversation today was really driven by a lot of this book called The One-Page Financial Plan, written by author Carl Richards. I've been a big fan of Carl Richards and his sketches and the handful of books that he's put out over the last decade or so. Just such a master in communication of taking complex things and making them very simple to understand. And he was really in the driver of like, well, whether you're working with a financial advisor or not, even if an individual, say they're not even working with a financial advisor, if we're to boil down, he believes everyone needs a plan. Having a plan usually results in at least having some clarity of where you stand today and where you want to go and what some of the goals and objectives are. So if we could boil your financial plan down to one page, what needs to be on that page to maybe check in on that one-page document every once in a while, just as a point of reflection to kind of check in, calibrate, have a good conversation with your spouse, and move forward, maybe with some minor adjustments. Do you agree?
Are you asking me? Are you putting me on the spot here?
Yeah. Well, I have some ideas of what I'd want to see on that one-page document, but
Yeah.
we probably both know what should be at the top. We ask a pretty big question at the start of all of our kind of initial discovery meetings with our clients.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Since you're in the business of holding up things today, I got one too.
What's that say?
It's all about the why.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. So it's been on my desk for 10 years. I don't know where it came from.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to dive into that.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what should probably be at the top of the page. It's like, why are we doing this? Why is money important to you? What is the problem that we're trying to solve here?
Have to start there. What are we doing? What are we doing this all for? And we're not even talking about goals yet or anything along those lines. It's just like, why is this important? Right? Call it like a statement of financial purpose. Like, what are we doing this? Like, why are you showing up at your practice every day? Why are we trying to earn an income? What are we doing with that? Like, what's the life that we're looking to live? What's important to us? Yeah. I think it's important that you dive in and dig into that question, which we try and do with with our clients when we bring them on, take them through our process. But yeah, what's that first question we ask, Chris?
Yeah. Why is money important to you?
Why is money important? What do you think that most two common things are that
Hmm.
people say? Because if we just ask that question, what's the
Yeah.
gut reaction that we hear 9 times out of 10?
So it's either freedom of
Yeah.
some kind or security. So
Yep.
this sense of either the yeah, there's two real feelings that are coming to the forefront, right? It's like this feeling of knowing that I'm going to be okay and having confidence that I'm going to be okay. That one is, primary motivator for a lot of women. And then the other side, it does not always, right? But more often than not, it's the women that are having that strong desire. And then on the other side, it's, um, I want I want freedom. I want to be able to do what I want when I want.
Yeah. You hear that line a lot for sure.
Yeah.
But the easy thing to do, at least from our perspective, is be like, okay, that's the answer. Like carry on. But we could go so much deeper than that. We need to, you know, we want to go through this exercise where we're really asking that why question another 2, 3, or 4 more times to really uncover why, like what's important, right?
Yeah. We got to go through that example you had. Let me ask you the question and you give me the responses of what this
Sure,
can all too commonly look like.
sure.
All right, Scott, why is money important to you?
Well, I want financial freedom, Chris.
Okay, that's interesting.
Just leave it there. That's all we need to share.
Yeah. So why is financial freedom important to you?
Well, I don't know, like just so I don't have to worry about money anymore.
And what is it about like worrying about money or not having to worry about money that's important to you?
Well, right now I just feel like I'm worrying and thinking about it all the time. Like sometimes we just be like adjusting a patient, and part of my brain is just kind of running numbers and thinking about overhead and payroll and my own personal finances and spending and all that stuff. Like it's always on my mind.
And why does that bother you?
Why does that bother you? Well, I feel like I'm just not being very present. I'm not being present. My patients deserve a doctor that's fully present and there and treating like the best he can, or my brain might be elsewhere. Same thing when I get home and I'm with my spouse and my kids. They deserve a present dad and a present father. But I feel like money and my attention around it and the things I worry about are constantly taking my attention and pulling me away.
Yeah. And why does that presence matter so much to you? Why do you want to be present like that?
Well, because I guess if I look back at my family history, like my dad worked all the time when I was growing up, and I never got to see him. He didn't show up to my sporting events, and he was just hardworking, and I appreciate that about him, but he just wasn't there a whole lot. He wasn't the dad that I needed, and I just didn't want to be that guy. And I feel like I'm becoming him.
Interesting. So it sounds like the real answer is not necessarily financial freedom. It's that money's important to you because you're terrified of becoming your father, and money stress is pulling you in that direction.
Dug deep there, Chris. Dug
We
deep.
dug deep.
I know that was
Just an
just an
example,
example.
people. Just an
I know that was
example,
just an
people.
example, but
Well,
that's what we're looking for, right? Like we want to understand like why are you doing this? Like, what's the lifestyle that you're looking to build? And sometimes money is such a big component of our life where it sometimes is driving the bus and gets us off track on the things that are truly important, like being a present father and spending time with the family and being present when you're with your patients at the table, all that good
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And so now once we've identified that, I feel like having that at the top of the page of, the desire is to be present and, an engaged member in my practice, an engaged leader, engaged father for my kids, and however we can kind of put that wording on to personalize that for the individual. Like it's just so powerful. And when we can reflect back on that purpose with a big decision, we have the opportunity to make a good financial decision. And so let me give you an example. You keep role playing here, Scott. You're a chiropractic
Okay.
client here. Okay, so hey Scott, I've got this great opportunity for you. It's a rental property. It's a fourplex, 4 different units. There's 4 different tenants in there right now. Super awesome deal. I think this would be great for you. are you interested in doing this? You have to manage the tenants, and the mortgages pays for itself, it covers it, but it's a little bit of an older building. There's a little bit of maintenance that might come up, but like you're gonna get like a 12% ROI. Go for it.
12% ROI sounds pretty good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's more than what my advisor's getting me.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be that hard to manage tenants, and that that should be okay to I'm sure I can manage that on my weekends and time outside the practice. Shouldn't be a big deal.
Interesting. And do you think that will allow you to be more or less present when you're in practice or at home with your kids and going to their soccer games?
Good point, Chris. That's a good point. I want to take more time away. I'm already
Right.
taking more time away at being in the practice, so it's tempting though.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many tempting opportunities.
The driven side of me says, yeah, it sounds like a great opportunity. I
Yeah.
have a bit of FOMO if I pass that up.
Right. And how many opportunities like this are thrown at our clients every day, right? Like we know how much our chiropractors get marketed to and, you know, targeted with stuff like this. Like
Yeah.
it's
We've had
endless.
we've had a client single-handedly tell us that they purchased a property basically because a friend brought it to them and said, "Hey, like this is a great opportunity, great deal." Didn't really think twice about it and just kind of just emotionally pulled the trigger and said, "All right, I'm in. Like I don't want to miss out, so let's do it." And then 6 months, a year later, maybe that wasn't the best decision. Like that doesn't serve what I'm trying to do and build in life. It
Yeah,
happens to the best of us.
for sure. For sure. But when we can have that clearly defined kind of financial purpose and meaning of what we're trying to achieve and come back to a great conversation with some planners that are on your team and want to help you make the best decision for you, hopefully we can have a better outcome.
So what's next? I have an idea in terms of what I want to see underneath that. Let's call it a statement of financial purpose, or like why is money important to us? Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
What's next?
Honestly, I think we need some kind of metrics of kind of where we stand at the moment, be that kind of net, like a very, very high level net worth.
Yeah. I would say before we even get there, before we even get to like where we stand today, I think that's like maybe third on my list.
Okay. One second. One
Before we get
second.
there, I would say we need to get clear. I'm going to use the word goals, what our objectives are. But one thing I love about Carl is he always says this. He's like, let's just set aside the word goals for the moment and let's just call them guesses. Let's just take a moment to guess where we want to be, what we want to accomplish in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, whatever the time frame. I think people get caught up of like the whole question of like, well, what are your goals? Like, I know if someone asked me, like, what are your goals, Scott? Like, maybe I could come up with a decent answer, but at the end of the day, they're just guesses. Like, our aspirations and things like that, they change. But if we can take that pressure off and just be like, what are some objectives? Where am I guessing where I want to be? It was on paper first. Because then we can get to your next point, Chris, of like, well, all right, if we have an idea of where we want to go, at least some guesses, first we got to find out where we stand today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be that a net worth statement, understanding that might be helpful. Like, what do you what's the landscape look like? What are your assets? What are your liabilities? That kind of paints
Mhm.
the picture in terms of what your opportunities are, what your income looks like, where you're splitting up your income right now. That's a good starting point of like, here's where we stand. You have an idea of where we want to go.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the goals slash guesses. I think, yeah, we need to have something where obviously we have the value piece and like why money is important, and that's going to kind of be that overarching framework. But then there's going to be individual priorities or goals or guesses that we're trying to attain in the whether they're short term or long term. That's kind of what sets our trajectory. So then when we know that trajectory, then we can kind of assess, okay, well, where do we stand today and how close are we? Or like, are we on, do we have a reasonable outlook at achieving those objectives?
Yeah.
So I think to kind of gauge that, it needs to be like a very high level cash flow or net worth or something to like kind of just, you know, paint the picture, bring the awareness of like, where are we today?
Yep. Yep. For sure. And from there, that leads you to probably the next natural step would be would be to start setting some action items. Like, what steps do I need to then take to move me a little bit closer to what these goals, objectives, guesses are? What needs to happen? Are they action items that we need to take right now that we can immediately start, plugging away and taking some action on? Or are they just action items that we know that we'll need to take in the future and we can kind of put them on the shelf for a moment until the time comes?
Hmm. Yep. Yep. For sure. Cool. What else will you have in there?
I think when it comes to like long term, like I know this maybe is getting maybe a touch technical, but I think helpful if I were to have this on my own 1-page plan is to have a clear understanding of how my assets are kind of made up, and like call that your portfolio of my net worth and my assets. What's in real estate right now? What do I have invested in the broad markets? What do I have in cash? Maybe if you want to go a layer deeper, what do I have in my various types of accounts versus real estate, RSPs versus what's in corporate cash or what have you? And then the reason why I'd want to have that is maybe to then tee up the next point on maybe kind of some sort of investment mandate or like some kind of verbiage of here's how I'm invested and why, to give you that discipline that when things change in the market, things get scary, or your brother-in-law brings a hot stock tip to you, that you can reflect back to your 1-page plan to be like, first of all, here's my mandate on how and why I invest the way I do. Here's my current goals and objectives. Do they help me get to those any more efficiently? Is it worth taking on this opportunity? And then back to that top of the page. Is it all connected to why I'm doing all this? Why money's important to me?
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Yep. At the end of the day, I think that 1-page financial plan that has all of that included in it is serving a much clearer purpose than the 60-page laminated Dutang binder, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's all I would personally need to have on my 1-page plan.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
No, I wouldn't put anything else in there. I think less is more.
Less is more, for sure. And I know we do this in a bit of a different way, Chris, when we can kind of touch on how we do more module-based financial planning and come back to those different areas of your financial life. But I think in any capacity, if you're working with like, whether it's us or another advisor, and there's a 1-page plan put in front of you and that's been built, I think it also can give you certainty of like, hey, from our perspective, Chris, we're doing all that background analysis with the spreadsheets and the graphs and all that kind of stuff. But we also know that there's a time and place to like show that to the client if they're interested in kind of getting into the weeds. But if we can bring it down to a page and be like, here's why money's important. Here's our goals and objectives. Here's the actions, the items that we need to take you to get there, right? Here's where we currently stand. Let's check in on this in 6 months or a year. And if we need to look at the supporting evidence that's in the other 50, 60 page, we can. But if not, like we're clear to move forward on what needs to happen next.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think like just to speak further to the 50 and 60 pages that we're going to kind of ignore right now, it's not that we're ignoring them. We're just choosing not to include them in a document that you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Or a presentation. Yeah. And the reason being is not that they're irrelevant. We've already acknowledged that they're probably wrong right from get-go, and we're going to have to continually refine them. That doesn't mean that they're not important. They serve a purpose, but in our eyes, it's not a static purpose, right? It's a dynamic purpose. And that brings us back to that idea of like continual, real financial planning, this continuous conversations 3 or 4 times a year, meeting regularly, course correcting. We update the planning software and projections and our assumptions and our spreadsheets in, over the course of that whole year. And that all drives back to that one kind of summary and like the direction that we're going. But I don't know, again, going back to like, is the document really needed? Like, if I think of all the times that I'm in our planning software and I'm adjusting a client's file and changing their asset values or our expected rate of returns when FP Canada releases their new guidelines, or decreasing their debt payments, changing their mortgage when they renew their mortgage, whatever it is, right? if we did that, if we had to print out a new plan every time we made a change on the plan, that'd be a lot of documents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it as a bit of a waste of trees from my take.
Yeah. I was
And
going to say that.
not because we're trying to save, not necessarily trying to save trees. It's more so that if that document was actually printed out and delivered, is that of value? And that's where we kind of stand at, like, is that document actually going to be something that is worth referencing at some point in the future? We obviously work with a lot of, we work with our clients, like, primarily online through screen share, which we actually think is such a great way to communicate, where we can pull up a screen, we can pull up their plan. We can basically do live interactive, like, we're going to go right into our planning software. We're going to show you behind the scenes and show you what you need to see. But after the meeting, it's like, all right, you know what you need to know. We know what our next action items are. We don't need to follow up with a large PDF document to say, all right, here's the plan that we're going to change in 3 or 4 months from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you want to share about our planning process, what that looks like?
Yeah, I guess it may be a good opportunity just to kind of reflect, because I think when it comes to financial planning, I still think a lot of folks out there might kind of just assume, like, financial planning is investment management, right? And if you've been a long time listener of the Kyra Money Show, you probably gathered that that's not our take on financial planning. There's so much more to it than just managing someone's investments, whether it be personal cash flow or corporate cash flow, income and tax planning, insurance, you name it. All these different, we kind of call it the modules of your financial life. I guess our process is, rather than doing a whole bunch of data collection and discovery and collecting all these documents and saying, all right, we've done our homework, Mr. and Mrs. Client, here's our 60-page document with 30 recommendations that we needed to go take action on and implement. Some advisors will leave it there. Maybe they'll do some hand holding and get some things done. Our approach is a bit different, where it's like, all right, we want to meet you we're onboarding a client. We want to see you every couple of weeks. First, we're going to go through this. We're going to go through personal cash flow. And then we're going to go through your corporate cash flow. And then we're going to have a meeting strictly based on investments, and then one on insurance. And from each of those meetings is going to have its own set of recommendations and various things that we need to implement, whether it be the client directly, there's homework for them, or we're going to do it together. We're going to help you accomplish those things, right? So rather than like one big document with 30 recommendations, we're going to give you maybe 30 recommendations, but do it more on a module basis, kind of one at a time. Taking
so much
things
more manageable.
Yeah.
I think, like, the two things that stand out to me in that, just like hearing you talk that through, is like, do you want 30 recommendations at once? Here's all the things I need you to go do. Or do you want like 5 at a time, and do you want them spread out over a manageable period of time where you can kind of accomplish them as you go and build some momentum? That's one thing. And then also going into the detail on each category, like, so say personal cash flow. So let's say we go through personal cash flow with someone and we make some recommendations on adjusting their family's structure. Like, let's consolidate accounts. Let's have one joint account maybe, and let's have your primary credit card serve this purpose, and let's introduce a different vehicle to serve this purpose. Make some recommendations there. I think that's way more powerful when you're in real time, kind of going through it with the client and going into like a pretty deep level of detail on that, and then immediately making the recommendation, rather than what I've seen with some financial plans is, just data collection. Let me gather all the data, and then I'm going to compile all of this for you, and then I'm going to spit it out and say, here's what I recommend you do. I think, it's just so much easier to implement if you understand a little bit of the reasoning and the why behind it. Again, we don't make recommendations just because we feel like they're good. Oh yeah, you should do this because I like that. Again, it all comes back to the why. And so every recommendation that we make is going to be evidence-based, research-backed. Like, there's going to be clear evidence to support the case for that.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Hopefully it's also, we've removed our own personal biases from it. So it's not just like, hey, this is what I like, so you should do it. It's
more collaborative too.
Yeah,
for sure. Yep. Cool. Hope that was helpful. Shout out again to Carl Richards. If you're looking for a really great read, I do recommend this book. The One-Page Financial Plan by Carl Richards. Awesome read. I think it's a great read if someone is truly, I'm a DIYer. I'm going to do this all on my own. I don't want or feel like I need a financial advisor planner in my life. Go read that book.
Yeah.
Excellent read.
Cool. Well, next time we'll be able to brag about our High Rocks results.
That's right. Off to Toronto, off to Ottawa, couple-day conference in Toronto, and then hop over to Ottawa, throw down a couple High Rocks races, and then we'll be back in your earbuds in a few weeks from now.
Yeah, for more Zone 2 work.
Whatever you say, Chris. You bet.
Just
Get
making
right
stuff up. It's Friday afternoon. Let's go.
Yeah.
Obviously,
All right, guys,
I need
thanks
to
for tuning
in.
We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
All opinions expressed on the Chiro Money Show are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Nothing on this podcast should be considered financial, legal, accounting, or tax advice. Always consult your own team of licensed professionals before making decisions about your finances.